Welcome back to Blender for Blogs. I'm Justin and I am back here with you. I'm sorry it's been a long time since my last video, but we're going to try to finish up the series here with the next couple of videos. This one is going to be about cleaning up and tweaking the things that we want before we do our final render. So let's just get right into it. Now this is where we left off last time, and the very first thing I want to mention is that we had these hidden and locked last time. So all of this stuff here, when we were working on our outtakes, which is this, we had all of these here. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to do this. Select all to the left. We had all these here hidden. And so when you're hiding multiple things at a time, you want to make sure you're very careful because when you unhide all of them at the same time, then you could be selecting and unhiding things that you already had hidden. For example, these masks down here. Now, if you remember, we use these masks in order to show where our little bullet points come in. Now, the mask itself is actually hidden because we don't actually want to see that. So we had these hidden originally. So I'm just going to hide those. And but what happens is since we selected all of these and hid them, when we unhid all of these, then it unhid those as well. So we just want to make sure we're very careful with that. Probably a better thing for me to have done if I wanted to hide everything would be to select all of these here and put it into a meta strip. So then Control G and then hide it. And then we don't have to have the computer worry about rendering any of that stuff out while we're working, and then we can focus on what we wanted to do, which was our outtakes. And then we could just unhide that again. Well, if I just select it and I tab into it, that's what it looks like. If we zoom in here, these are still hidden. So when we tab back out, and then we unhide that, and then Alt G to get rid of that meta strip, we still have everything that we had hidden is still hidden, which is what we want. So just keep that in mind when you're hiding and unhiding multiple things. Okay, so the next thing I noticed is down here, we've got this stuff here that's kind of just trailing here way at the bottom. This one here looks like it's a text box. You can see from right down there. So I don't think that's being used at all. So I'm just gonna delete that. Get rid of that. And then this is our Blender for Blogs background, and then we have a color background. And the reason I usually do this color here is if there's any sort of gaps or sometimes transitions like this will need a background. So if you have if you have nothing here, even though it shows black on the screen, it doesn't work the same way as a black color strip. For example, this you can see if I zoom in here with this transition it's kind of feathered. Now sometimes when you don't have this background, when you don't have a background beneath it, so if I just hid, maybe if I hid this one and these two here, yeah, you can see it doesn't feather it. So some of the transitions don't work the way you would want them to. And then of course you can see the outline, that nasty little outline there we don't want either. So, but if I then, let's see if I can just get both of those to show you both of them at the same time. So nothing is below as far as visually, but then if I unhide the color, you can see that line goes away and we have our feather back. So that's why I kind of keep this on the bottom here. And you know, I might just keep that anyway. But for now I'm just gonna hide it. But let me see, I'm gonna unhide the background one. And I'm just gonna see, so it ends here. I'm just gonna see if there's anywhere that is being used. Oh, I gotta unhide this as well. So right here, I suppose it's being used right here. If I hide that. Yeah. So it's being used all the way up to here. And then let's see if it's being used anywhere else. So not that. That is actually going to be this right here, our fake transparent background. And then we have our beach background. And then we have our ore background, followed by our blackboard. And then I don't think anything from here. Just using that. And then, oh, let's back up here. Nope, that's still the chalkboard. I mean, that's still the, yeah, still the chalkboard. And that's also the chalkboard. Okay, so this one here isn't actually being used after right here. So I'm just gonna take this and snap it to there, just so that we're getting rid of unnecessary backgrounds. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is just basically kind of compress these or line these up and condense them so they're not taking up so much space. So for example, here, if I zoom in here, I can actually just take this pre-cut footage and move it up. Now it'll move this up automatically. I'll just move that back down. There, that's all in one line. So we have this. Oh, hey, look at that. I had that backwards. Duh, Justin. Um, this is actually supposed to be at the beginning. And then we have page up, page up. This ends here. So I'm going to snap that there. There we go. So we're using it until here. Okay, and so now this is going to be where our black background is actually going to come in handy. So I'm just going to unhide that because, and let's refresh our sequencer. Because again, we want that feathered transition there. Zoom in. There we go. Just like that. Okay, so let's see. We've got that. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is this is our image sequence here, and I want that with our audio. So I just want to move the audio up right underneath this strip here on the whole thing. But you can see this is kind of in the way. And what is this? Okay, this is our list of awesome, which we had come and fly behind my head. So we want to keep this underneath the image sequence. So I'm just going to bring this down, G and then Y to lock it on the Y, and then bring it down 1. And then I'm going to select these. Actually, I'm going to make sure everything is deselected, and then select these, grab that on the Y, and move that directly up. So that is right underneath there. And then what I can do is take everything else down here and move it up a little bit. Actually, deselect all, move up. Oh, I grabbed the marker accidentally there, so hover up a little bit higher, grab on the Y and move that up. Okay. Now this background doesn't need to be all the way down here, actually. This background can be all the way up here, right there, and same with this and this. They can be right up there. And then these backgrounds here can all be moved up. And then this one, I'm not entirely sure. I'll just move it up here. I don't know. Well, that is probably going to stay there. So I'm probably just going to make this the. So I'm going to copy the in frame and then just paste that in here for the length, so that it goes all the way across the bottom. Then I don't have to worry about any of those transitions. Okay, so that is looking pretty good. Now with this, let's tweak this just a little bit here. So you can see these stretch further than this needs to be. So the animation actually ends right there. So I'm just going to go maybe 1 or 2 more frames, and then I'm just going to select these and snap that there because we don't need that extending out that far. Okay, so we've got that, and then that is fine. And then we have that. Our masks are still hidden, which is good. That goes behind my head, which is what I want. Okay, and now you can kind of see this here. This is one length is 25 for the color, and these are 8. You can keep it consistent if you want. I mean, it doesn't really matter that much. But if, let's say you do want to change this size, now I could either take 25 and then minus 8. Let's see, which would be what, 17? And then I just grab this and hit G and then 17. I think that works, right? Yep, so now the length is 8. So there you go. And now all of these are going to be 8, just to keep it consistent. Again, that's just personal preference, which is what a lot of this is anyway. Okay, and then that's okay there. Wipe out! Whoa, that was loud. All right, so now you can kind of see here this little glip right here. So basically I didn't time this right, or I didn't cut this right. So the very first frame in this strip is not what I want because my pre-cut footage is, it jumps. So I want it here, or even maybe a couple of frames in here. So I'm just going to select these along with these, and then Shift S, just snap all of those there. And you can see the transform doesn't move. And a trick that I like to do here is before you deselect anything, then you can just hit G to grab and then cancel, and it'll just refresh. And I don't know why it does that, but it's just a little glitch. If you snap the bottom strip by itself, then the transform will automatically follow. But if you select both of them and then snap, it only snaps the bottom one, which is completely backwards. But that's just because it just hasn't registered for some reason. And again, and let's say you click away, even if you click away, all you have to do, again, select this one, hit G, and when you hit G without even doing anything, it'll snap that and then just cancel. So, but yeah, you can just select this one and then it'll move both of them. Okay. So now let's see what that looks like. Yeah. So then it goes right into me saying
And you'll also learn how to.
So that's good there. I'm also going to save it now. Here I'm actually going to save as 2 and then another one there. Then we're going to see this. That looks okay. Okay, everything there looks all right. That looks okay. Okay, now here is a problem. So we've got a little transition here that's supposed to be our B-roll footage, but it's just black. So we've got a blank screen here and a blank screen here with our B-roll footage. And that is because somewhere along the way, I changed the name of the folder, or I moved the file that this was referring to. Let's look and see what file that is. So let's do this one first. So we've got to select that one, and then I'm just going to drag this out, and here's our path here. So if I hit this, basically it's in 30 screen capture is what I use. So 30 is the screen capture number video that I had. So I click this, and obviously it doesn't find it. So I'm going to go to where I know it is. So 30 screen capture is here, and here's my OBS. And it already has the one that it's using here. So I'm not going to select anything else except for just accept. And there you go. Now we can see our B-roll footage there. Now this one was a different one. So this one was called B-roll capture. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to select that and actually box select the rest of these because they're also the same. And you can kind of select them to make sure. Just kind of go through and make sure. So select that one, box select these, go over here and go to the 30 screen capture. And then I don't have to select it because it's already named correctly. So accept. And there we go. Now, the other ones don't have it yet because I have to right click, copy to selected. So all the ones that we box selected, then it's going to copy this path too because it's using the same video. And now it has all of our information on there. And so that's just a little trick that you can do when you find a video or a picture or something that is blank, or even audio. If you don't have any audio, just check the file and see where it's supposed to be, and then you can go, select it if you renamed anything or moved anything. Okay, let's keep going right here. Let's make sure that let's give us some room again, and just make sure that this transition here is good. Okay, yeah, so that's not bad. I'm just looking for any sudden jumps where they shouldn't be. Except for there, because that should be there. And then let's see if this is working over here. There I am looking like a goober. That's all right. That's where I'm pretending to speak. Psych.
Checked your sound, didn't you?
And then here we go. Same thing here. It's the same name here, so you can see. So basically all I need to do is select this one that still has, you can see it has the footage here, and then box select these, which are all going to be the same, and then right click, copy to selected. And then we have all of our B-roll capture footage there. And I think we have to do it one more time here. So I'm going to select this, box select these, right click, copy to selected. And now we have all of those back there. Alrighty. So next is Blender for art bugs and boots. It says bugs one just because I did the change data file, so it doesn't actually change the name of the strip because I copied it. I duplicated this to this. Anyway, and then we have that. And you can see that that's feathered really nicely like I want it. There we go. And then we've got our outtakes. All right, so that I think is it. Oh, and these things here, we can get rid of these. I don't like to have those here. Let's save this now, and then save as. We can delete. So when you delete markers, basically, in order to select them, you've got to be like really close, right up next to this little timeline thing, and then you can either A to select all of them or deselect all of them. Select all of them, and then when you hit X or when you hit delete, you'll see delete markers instead of delete strips. So just make sure you see that, and then click OK. Got rid of those. Okay, and oh, this looks like it's a little bit straggly. Straggly, I don't know what that means. It's straggling away. It's floating away too high. And same thing here. Oh, what we're gonna do is put this into a meta strip, Control G, and then grab and move that down. Just stacking everything on top of each other, so there's no real big gaps and things aren't like floating off into the distance there. And that looks good, I think. So yeah. Okay, so the last thing I want to show you is how to render out small portions to test videos to see how it looks as a real video for your tweaking. So for example, if I come down here and I want to see how this is going to look in a real video in real time, because maybe your computer is like mine and it
Like
kind of
this.
goes slow
Cut out everything
and
that you don't want.
choppy. So what you can do is render out just a really small test video. So I'm going to hover down here. I'm going to hit home so we can get the whole thing in view here. And then here, actually right before I move. So I'm going to test from here. From when I move, the wipe transition, the boop, the transparency, and then till I move back here. So maybe let's zoom out just a little bit here. So this is where I think I want to end. So since I'm here already, I can just hover my cursor over here and hit E, and that will make that the end frame where my timeline cursor is. And then come back over here where I want this to start is right before I start moving there. Hover down over here and hit S. So S to start and E to end. And now we have our frame range. And you can see down here, our frame range changed from start to end. And then over here in our dimensions, on our rendering tab, we have start frame and end frame. And that's what's going to render when we hit animation. So what you can do is then before you hit any animation or anything, we want to make sure that we rename this to something that's not going to overwrite our video. Remember that when you render out videos, they will automatically overwrite anything that has the same exact name. And unfortunately, you can't change that, which I think is dumb. But anyway, so test origin footage. Oh my gosh, I can't spell. Okay. And I put an underscore at the end because I have file extensions. Let's just bring this out a little bit. I have file extensions checked, which means that it's going to show the frame range and it's also going to show the MP4 at the end of it. Okay, so I'm going to save that. And, oh, actually, I'm going to do 1404 and then underscore. And this way I know which one I'm actually testing. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna change this. 1404 underscore original footage. There we go. Just so I can keep that organized. So if I do multiple tests for 1404, then I can do different things. So like original footage, and then I can test other things down the line and just name it here. Okay, so save that and click animation. And as you can see, it starts right here, and then it's just going to render from here all the way to here in our video. Now, we will go over all of this stuff in the last video of rendering, but for now, you can just kind of play with this. You can make the resolution half the size by hitting 50% here, or just change whatever resolution you want. Maybe it doesn't need to be the full resolution if you just want to test out to see the just a transition or maybe a sound effect or something that you're wanting to do that doesn't require a full resolution, obviously. And then let's see, up here we've got about a minute remaining, so I'm just going to cut the footage and we'll come back. Boop. All right, it's just about done here, and about a little over 2 minutes to render that out, and that'll give you kind of also a timeline too. So if you know you have like 30 minutes and it took 2 minutes to render out, what is this, 20, it's 10 seconds basically, then you can kind of calculate how long the whole video is going to take. But let's open her up. Okay, so you can see down here is the test origin footage, and it added the frame range, like I said, and then the MP4 at the end. So I'm just going to double click that and we'll check that out.
to take your original footage like this, cut out everything that you don't want like this,
Boop.
and then remove your green screen, add a new background, and then reposition yourself in order to show it. To
All
take
right.
your original footage like
There you
this,
go.
cut
And
out
so
everything that
you can
don't
just make sure that you like what you
cut
see.
out
And if you do, then you can move on. And so that way you can do that with, any of your other things. So like maybe your animations here, or any sort of transitions, or your masks, or sound if you want to test sound, like I said. So then you would just come over here. Let's say I was wanting to test these animations. Then I would maybe start over here and hit S for the start frame, and then maybe to here I would hit E to end. And maybe that's too long. Maybe I want to just start here and just render out this small portion. And what this allows you to do is allows you to fix any mistakes or maybe problem areas that you think that you might have, and see it as a real video before you render the whole thing and realize, oh my gosh, this is dumb. I shouldn't have done this. And then have to render the whole video again, which I've done before. That also reminds me to point out that you probably want to watch the whole thing. So I'm just going to start this at 1 again, and then come over here, and we'll just end that here. Hit home. And you're probably just going to want to watch before you render anything in Blender. Just watch the whole thing and have a pen and paper as you watch, and just make sure everything is lining up smooth, and then write down any sort of frame number that you may think you have a problem, and then like a frame number, then a quick like 1 or 2 words like need, test sound or test transition or whatever. Just so that you, after you're done, you can go and you can change all of those that you need to, render them out in little videos, and then test. It's just going to save yourself a lot of time and heartache in the future if you do that. Okay, so the last thing that I'm going to do, since I've done that already, is put this into over here, select all of these. I just did Shift left bracket to select everything to the left, and then Control G, and that's in our meta strip. And then our color, I'm going to grab and just put right there. There we go. And see how clean and neat that is. And you just might want to sweep that over just to make sure everything is all good there. All right. So that is it. The next video is the last video, and we will just talk about some of these render settings as much as I can. Some of them I don't know very well, so I'm gonna have to do a little bit of research, and then I'll get back to you, and yeah, we'll render out our video. Well, I won't show you the whole thing, but you know what I mean. All right. So see you in the last video of the Blender for Blogs series.